Hey, what is up, everybody? It is your boy Evan. You may notice that my braids are not hanging down. That's because I took them out. Right now, my hair is loose, and when my hair is loose, I look like a Mexican Jesus. I look like a caveman. I look all types of crazy, man. So I'm probably gonna keep the beanie on or a hat on. But when I do have my hair down, very, very different look. Anyways, it's been about 5 years since George Floyd's overdose, right? And I'm not gonna say it was a murder because it wasn't. That's not really what I wanted to talk about though. It's because after George Floyd's death, there was a huge movement to reform policing and racial discrimination, right? There's a big harp on it. A little tiny movement called, BLM. You guys might remember. Destroyed a bunch of cities, burnt down a bunch of buildings, and oh yeah, didn't give anything back to the black community other than more stigmas. One would think after such a passionate movement you would have accomplished something, right? Well, they did. They got a lot of police departments defunded, bought a couple mansions. That's something, right? Oh, we're talking about the discrimination, right? We're trying to get less black people and brown people from dying from police brutality. Well, I hate to break it to you, but the opposite happened. Since George Floyd's death, there's actually been an increase in fatal police encounters. Now, be privy to that phrasing, fatal police encounters, because the metrics in which they use to measure it does not care whether these shootings were justified or not. Sometimes an officer has to defend himself or defend others, and that's just the nitty-gritty of it, you feel me? So I got this article from Kate from ABC 30 Action News, a very reputable local news organization that covers some of this, as well as an interview. And also have some words from economist Roland Fryer about a study that he published that Harvard did not want you to see for a very interesting reason. But before we get into all that, I would really appreciate if you could like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend if you think that they would find this interesting. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Central California's #1 news. This is ABC 30 Action News. Live at 6.
Tracking data, ABC News has compiled new numbers in the aftermath of George Floyd's death at the hands of Minneapolis police. It's been 5 years since his killing sparked worldwide protests and led to policy changes. Thanks for joining us tonight for Action News. I'm Warren Armstrong.
And good evening, I'm Margot Kim. Action News reporter Kate Nemerich is at the live desk tonight to outline the local data, along with the tough conversations that grew out of George Floyd's death. Kate?
Yeah, the Mapping Police Violence database shows in the 5 years since George Floyd was killed, nationwide deadly police interactions have increased by nearly 40% when compared to the 5 years prior to his death. After Floyd's death, there were a lot of discussions locally about police brutality, racism, and reform. Fresno police weren't available to speak with us on this story, but we did talk with a professor from Fresno City College who took part in conversations with their campus police.
Shout out to Fresno City College. I went there before I went to state. It challenged me academically. It made me a stronger thinker. Legitimately. I know college is a scam and they're trying to turn you into a liberal trans activist, but Fresno City more or less challenges you just to think and write better. I endorse that campus. But with that said, there still are some, leftist lunatics on that campus running amok. But that's why you should go, right? That's why you should go. Take back the institution. There are a lot of people there that even if they don't agree with you, they'll at least give you the respect and decency to state your plight. But then you have to defend it.
The killing of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer in May of 2020 sparked outrage, fear, and conversation.
Black men, it seemed like, were at a high risk of police brutality. It appeared that way, at the time, and there's just a lot of fear.
Dr. Lataria Hall with Fresno City College saw the importance of those conversations.
As a Black mom who has 3 Black sons, I was also experiencing some fear. As an educator and as a mom, one of the things that I wanted to do was get ahead of some of those fears and be more proactive as opposed to reactive.
On campus, Hall arranged spaces for students to talk about their concerns.
We just engaged everybody and invited them to the table to have those conversations. And they were allies because it just wasn't the Black community that was concerned. It was our Latino community, our Asian community, our white community.
Floyd was killed by former officer Derek Chauvin, who was later sentenced for murder. Video of Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes went viral, leading to protests and demand for police reform. In the immediate weeks after Floyd's death, the Minneapolis Police Department banned all forms of neck restraints and chokeholds. Departments around the country looked at their policies, and Fresno City College examined how cadets are trained in its police academy.
To educate our cadets on things such as policing, understanding implicit bias, educating them on systemic inequality.
Implicit bias, more like pattern recognition. I'm just saying, bro, it's like, let me put it this way, man. I'm in Fresno. There's a huge Hispanic population. I know in Fresno, my most likely aggressor is going to be another Hispanic person. So I'm a little bit extra careful when I'm around some people I don't know, or I'm in an area that I'm unfamiliar with. Oh, well, why are you in an area you're unfamiliar with? Because this is fucking America, dog. I can go down any street I want, or I should be allowed to anyways. But yeah, I recognize that there are certain things that are going to put me in more danger than others. When I'm in Clovis, when I'm in Old Town Clovis, I could walk down the street in my Dickies, a Fresno State sweater, and nothing's gonna happen to me. If I roll down Westside Fresno in some Dickies and a Fresno State sweater, I might get gang checked. They might set trip on me, like, hey, where are you from? What do you bang? Where do your parents stay? You know, like, so I recognize that there are certain things that are going to make my life more difficult and my safety at risk. That doesn't make me racist, dog. This pattern recognition is something that every human is born with. And police are no different. And acting as if they shouldn't recognize these differences puts them at risk.
Social justice.
They even introduced a de-escalation simulator. Despite efforts at the local, state, and national levels, the Mapping Police Violence database shows fatal police encounters have increased nearly 38% in the 5 years since Floyd was killed. The largest increase has been among Black people. ABC News has an interactive tool that breaks down the data by county, highlighting areas with the highest rates of police killings. The data does not consider whether the death was deemed justified or unjustified.
We're going to show you how many people died. We're not going to show you why they died. Oh, goodness gracious, man. Because the truth is, a lot of the people, most of the people, damn near all the people that are killed by police were doing something to put the officer or other people in danger. It's not as simple as cops just coming up and wanting to kill someone. You think they want to put their pension at risk? You think they want to be labeled like a horrible racist and for their kids to get bullied? Nah, dog. I think people underestimate the situations cops get put through, man. And there are some cops, but wouldn't you be an if you just got called to 3 DVs? You had to go break up a dude that's beating on his chick, separate them, the kids are crying, it's stressful. You're not trying to shoot this guy in front of his kids and wife, but you got to get him out the house because he just put hands on this woman. And he's acting crazy with you, so you gotta defend yourself. And then some like going 15 over the speed limit. Yeah, I'm gonna be tight. Yeah, man, people need a little bit more empathy. They need to practice some empathy with these police officers because, you know, when something happens at home, who are you gonna call, bro? You ain't calling your cousin. You're probably not calling your brothers. When something happens, something serious, and you want a quick response from someone that's going to put their life on the line to save yours, you're gonna wish that they didn't stop and be like, oh, well, this guy thinks I'm a murderer. I think I'll take an extra 10 minutes to get there. Nah, bro. So you seen that, you heard that, right? Killings are up. But it doesn't preface whether these are justified or not. People would see that and just say, oh, well, Black people are clearly being discriminated against. I got something for y'all. Look, This is economist Roland Fryer. He came out with a study that examined discrimination in police practices, right? And what he had found was there was a bias in non-lethal encounters. So police are more likely to pull over black people, more likely to check their ID, check for sobriety. Yeah, that exists. But when it comes to lethal interactions, someone's getting shot, there is no racial bias. And Harvard did not like that. That's not good for the narrative. That's not good for the message. That's not good for my billion-dollar industry of profiting off of racism.
I collected a lot of data. We collected millions of observations on everyday use of force that wasn't lethal. We collected thousands of observations on lethal force. And it was in this moment in 2016 that I realized people lose their minds when they don't like the result. And so what my paper showed, you'll see tomorrow, like some of you, was that, yes, we saw some bias in the low-level uses of force, every day pushing up against cars and things like that. People seem to like that result. But we didn't find any racial bias in police shootings. Now, that was really surprising to me because I expected to see it. The little-known fact is I had 8 full-time RAs that it took to do this over nearly a year. When I found this surprising result, I hired 8 fresh ones and redid it to make sure. They came up with the same exact answer, and I thought it was robust. And I went to go give it, and my God, all hell broke loose. It was a 104-page, dense academic economics paper with a 150-page appendix, okay? It was posted for 4 minutes when I got my first email. This is full of shit. Doesn't make any sense. And I wrote back, how'd you read it that fast? That's amazing. You are a genius. And I had colleagues take me to the side and say, don't publish this. You'll ruin your career. I said, what are you talking about? I said, what's wrong with it? Do you believe the first part? Yes. Do you believe the second part? Well, the issue is they just don't fit together. We like the first one, but you should publish the second one another time. I said, let me ask this. If the second part about the police shootings, this is a literal conversation. I said to them, if the second part showed bias, do you think I should publish it then? And they say, yeah, then it would make sense. And I said, I guarantee you I'll publish it. We'll see what happens. So it was, you know, I lived under police protection for about 30 or 40 days. I had a 7-day-old daughter at the time. I remember going and shopping for it because, you know, when you have a newborn, you think you have enough diapers, you don't. So I was going to the grocery store to get diapers with an armed guard. It was crazy. It was really, truly crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Black people have a higher propensity to have non-lethal interactions with the police. That's true. But I wouldn't even call that discrimination. I call that pattern recognition. If I can root out a crime before it happens, or I have suspicion that a crime is going on, and I have non-lethal methods that I could employ that will leave that person unharmed, maybe a little shaken up, maybe a little spooked, but more or less whole, I'm gonna do it. Now with lethal stuff, right, that's where discernment has to come in no matter what, right? It doesn't matter how many, you know, black carjackings you've seen. Doesn't matter how many black assaults you've seen. You have to discern it. You can't use any level of pattern recognition to determine that a shooting's about to happen with that. You got to be reactive. You can't be proactive with that. And they are. That's what the study found. So let's put these two things together. Since the last 5 years, black people have disproportionately been killed by police. At the same time, there is clear empirical evidence that they're not being discriminated against. Well, how could that be? It's because black people are justifiably being killed by police at a disproportionate rate, meaning they are disproportionately committing crimes that endanger the police officer or others. That's the sad truth. But don't act like you're surprised about this, man. We had King Von in the last 5 years. Like, come on, bro. Like, YNs. That term has come up in the last 5 years. You know, switching people up. All this has happened in the last 5 years, man. We have a growing culture. It's a fungus. It's a dandruff on the scalp of America. This idolization of crime, criminal activity. It's crazy, bro. How can you not be tired of it? How could you not be fatigued of it? Anyways, guys, that's what I got for you. Hopefully you found this video informative. I don't know if you found it entertaining. If you found it entertaining, let me know. But what do you think about this? Leave a comment down. Tell me, how do you see this? Is there a gap in the research? Are we missing something? Is there actually discrimination going down with these lethal interactions? Or is the data right? We already know that they are for non-lethal, but for the lethal encounters, the research says otherwise. So is the research wrong? What's your thoughts? Or do you agree with it? Let me know in the comments. I'll be sure to reply. So yeah, comment, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I will see you next time. I'm Evan. I'm out. Peace.